Good evening, and welcome to another recalcitrant episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now, here's your reverential reprobate voice of Doom. Good evening. I'm in my vestments. Why? Because, out of respect, Good Friday tonight for the next 30 minutes. And I've been getting into this Word of God a little bit and trying to analyze it a bit from a Buddhist standpoint, just to try to kind of reconcile the two for my own personal edification. So if this is a real boring one, I'm sorry, but it'll just be for my diuretics, my diary for my kids. Talk about Good Friday and just looking up quotations. I wanted to find that one because they've been talking about Elon Musk taking over Twitter and how that's going to be the end of the world because they might allow other opinions in besides the correct ones. And I didn't find the one that's kind of like, I may disagree with what you say, but I defend to the death the right to say it. Your right to say it. I guess Voltaire said that. That's just what I remember, but I found the administration of justice is the firmest pillar of government. The administration of justice. George, no middle initial, Washington. Father, supposedly, of our country, and probably the best president we ever had. But aside from that, he said it justice. Now, I wanted to talk about justice today because I'm talking about the Holy Week and Good Friday, and I want to talk about how efficient the Roman era was with justice back in the year zero as compared to today's age where we really don't have the wherewithal to get things done very quickly or efficiently. I'm talking about the slow grinding wheel of justice that's grinding its way through about this so-called Russian dossier, which of course was all cheating and corruption to the absolute core, and the corruption so deep that you couldn't find bottom. You wouldn't be able to uncover all the corruption. But just trying to unpeel the onion of this one little thing where they made up a bunch of stuff out of whole cloth just to try to make sure that this orangey doesn't get in and have the media believe it. I mean, there is no justice, of course. Now, they're doing things as far as they're investigating. So there are ongoing investigations, but as far as anything new coming up, it's going to be difficult because our Department of Justice, quotation marks, is on the side of Petri dish. And they're also on the side of the media, who's on the side of Petri dish and everything he stands for. So it's going to be difficult to get justice. And it's difficult to get justice for the insurrectionists who have been rotting, I understand, in jail for over a year, well over a year. Some have been actually tried and convicted. And I don't know if there's others, so I won't say for sure that they're still rotting, but I knew they were rotting. I knew that justice wasn't going very quickly for them. Now let's talk about how justice can go quickly. And I'm going to get it out of here. Now, I told you about Palm Sunday and how Jesus rode in glory to hosannas on Sunday. And by Friday, he was arrested and crucified. Now, listen to this for quick justice. I'll set it up for you a bit. Jesus had the Last Supper on a Thursday with his disciples. And then after the dinner, Passover. There's another thing I want to mention before I forget is Passover and Black Friday, Good Friday are on the same day, which I don't know if that has any spiritual or cosmic significance, but I think it does, because I think we're doomed. Now, he went to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray after the dinner, and I guess they were stuffed, and he probably prayed for a long time. He was actually, entreating his Father to spare him from the cup he must drink of, which was death, a grisly, horrible death. And he didn't really want to do it. So, in the meantime, his buddy Judas was conniving with the high priests of the Pharisees and Sadducees of the Jewish high mucky mucks, and they had a little thing where he was going to come up and the guy he kissed was going to be Jesus and have him arrested. As if they don't know who he was. That doesn't make sense. Which one is he? The one I kiss. You analyze it kind of really rationally and think, well, they didn't know what he looked like? Come on. But that's where it was set up. Now, Peter ran away after a little scuffle, and all the other disciples fled, and Peter denied the Lord 3 times, and then the cock crowed. So we're talking about, it's morning now. Friday morning, it's got to be. So we'll start at St. Luke 22, and then we'll go at verse 63. It's a long chapter, but I'm not going to read. Just going to read some interesting stuff. And the men that held Jesus mocked him and smote him. And when they had blindfolded him, they struck him on the face. This is still in the garden. And asked him, saying, Prophecy, who is that smote thee? Prophet. And many other things blasphemously spake they against him. And as soon as it was day, the elders of the people and the chief priests and scribes came together and led him into their council, saying, Art thou the Christ? Tell us. And he said unto them, If I tell you, you will not believe. And if I also ask you, ye will not answer me, nor let me go. Hereafter shall the Son of Man sit on the right hand of the power of God. Then said they all, Art thou then the Son of God? And he said unto them, Ye say that I am. And they said, What need we any further witness? For we ourselves have heard of his own mouth. So they take him to Pilate, Pontius, I told you about that already. And Pilate asked him, saying, Art thou the king of the Jews? And he answered him and said, Thou sayest it. And said Pilate to the chief priests and to the people, I find no fault in this man. And they were the more fierce, saying, He stirreth up the people, teaching throughout all Jewry, beginning from Galilee to this place. When Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked whether the man were a Galilean. And as soon as he knew that he belonged unto Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who himself also was at Jerusalem at that time. And when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceedingly glad, for he was desirous to see him for many a long season, because he had heard many things of him, and he hoped to have seen some miracles done by him. Then he questioned with him in many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and scribes stood and vehemently accused him, and Herod with his men of war set him at naught, and mocking him, and arrayed him in a gorgeous robe, and sent him again to Pilate. Now get this. And the same day Pilate and Herod were made friends together, for before they were at enmity between themselves. It's kind of interesting. And Pilate, when he had called together the chief priests and the rulers of the people, said unto them, Ye have brought this man unto me as one that perverteth the people, and behold, I have examined him before you, have found no fault in this man touching those things whereof ye accused him. No, nor yet Herod, for I sent you to him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done unto him. And I will therefore chastise him and release him. And so they whipped him, and they whipped him hard. And the chief priests and the scribes brought him back and said, "We still want him killed." And people were very unhappy, and there followed him a great company of people and of women, which also bewailed and lamented him. But Jesus, turning unto them, said, "Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never give suck. Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills, Cover us. If they do these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry?" It's going to go too long. I have more to read, but I wanted to talk about how fast justice is quickly in ancient Rome. Arrested Thursday night. He's in front of the Pharisees and the scribes, probably late at night on Friday morning, and taken to Pilate in the morning, and I guess the guy's up already and ready to go do a day's business work. And Pilate says, "I can't find anything wrong with this guy, but he has nothing to do with me anyway, so send him to Herod." And they are in the same city, so it's not like they're trekking all over. And Herod wants to see some miracles, and Jesus doesn't give him the satisfaction of seeing any, even though he probably could have done a few. Could have gotten everybody on his side right then, but he didn't. Didn't defend himself. The only time he defends himself is in St. John, which I will probably read in my next segment because I can't do it all in one. And 15 minutes, that's it. So, but it's quick. Now, we all know that he was crucified. He went back to Pilate. The mob insisted he be crucified. And he finally said, okay, well, he's not really defending himself against anything, so I'll have him crucified. And that's it. They take him off to be beaten and scourged and mocked and carry the cross up the hill to Golgotha, the skull, and be crucified. And before Friday's over, he's given up the ghost, as they say in both chapters. So I'm going to read more later. It's very interesting that so much could happen in less than 24 hours. It's really interesting. Time was different maybe back then. Same thing happened with Nichiren when he was about to be executed. Nichiren, my mentor, who clarified true Buddhism. So he was about to be executed, but he got out of it. I think I told the story of that, but I will one day if I haven't. They took him from here and there and here and there, and according to the biography, it was only a matter of days when they were traipsing these Japanese samurai all over the place, and everything seemed to go quickly. So maybe time was different, or people write it down different, but it's interesting. I didn't say anything. Maybe when I do the next half of this Black Friday segment, it'll click into something more complete. But justice and the administration of it, I think I talked about that rather well so far. And it's going to be a two-parter. So I'll let it go for now and do another part and post it. We'll see what happens. Good morning.